Equipment has been around since Call of Duty first started. Sometimes it's lethal, sometimes it's tactical, sometimes it's really dumb. What is up, everybody? Jimmy or Chaos. Today we're going to be talking about 20 of the dumbest equipment pieces in CoD history, both lethal and tactical. So you let me know in the comments what you think is the dumbest piece of actual equipment in CoD history. What takes the cake? And at number 20, the Satchel charge in CoD World War II. Now, when CoD World War II first came out, the Satchel charge really wasn't anything special because it took forever to plant and forever to detonate. But after a couple patches, essentially reworked it into a 1940s version of the C4 charge, it turned into one of the most ridiculous pieces of lethal equipment in the entire franchise. The blast radius on this thing was nuclear, and there were several ways to improve it or resupply it basically as much as you wanted, which meant you could run around the map being a demolitions expert. You could blast people back to the lobby over and over again. It's the perfect way to start this list, and some would call it dumb, some would call it perfect. For Red Scope and Black Ops 1, perhaps the ugliest and most unhelpful sight in CoD history. Today's video is powered by WayinVideo, and that clip right there, I didn't sit through footage to find it. I pulled that straight from my VOD using WayinVideo, and honestly, I've got it easy. I'm usually searching through like 15 to 20 minute videos. Streamers with 6, 8, 10 hour live streams, they've got to dig through mountains of footage just to find one good moment. That is where this actually saves your sanity. I just drop my link into WayinVideo, hit find moments, and tell it what I'm looking for, whether it be clutches, fails, rage, funny moments, whatever, and then I leave. I go eat, I do something else, I come back, and the clips, they're sitting there ready. And if you use a face cam, the auto frame feature is clutch. It automatically detects your face cam and formats the clip into a vertical split screen layout for you. You don't have to drag boxes anymore around or guess where your face should be. It does it for you. That's just part of my workflow now. Long videos go up. WayinVideo helps me turn it into short form without wasting my life scrubbing timelines, and I'm on my way. If you're making long videos or have long streams and you're trying to grow on shorts, TikTok, Reels, whatever the platform is, this is going to save you time. Click the link in the description right now, and new signups get 200 free credits. That's right, 200 free credits to try WayinVideo right now. At number 19, the concussion grenade in Black Ops 1. Now, concussion grenades have been part of the Call of Duty experience for the longest time, but for some reason, they were extra annoying in the original Black Ops because of how much they actually distorted your screen. Now, usually concussion grenades give you this quick little flash, and then they slow down your movement a little bit. You're impaired for a few seconds, but the BO1 concussion grenades, they did that and weirdly messed with the colors on your screen as well, which just made the screen kind of hard to look at if you were on one of the brighter maps. It wasn't enough to make you feel like you were walking through molasses for a few seconds. You also had to look like somebody applied some weird Instagram filter to your screen at the same time. Annoying and dumb. At number 18, also, guys, I read every single comment on every single video, which you already know, and I really appreciate you guys. I like to thank you every single video for all the engagement and all the comments and all the conversations that we have. Flashbangs in CoD 4. Now, the original flashbangs were some of the most powerful we've ever seen in this franchise, and thankfully, they haven't been that strong again. But the CoD 4 flash? Absurd. Had to be on the list today because they would turn your screen completely white for what seemed like an eternity, and since there was a special grenade ×3 perk in the game, that meant you were getting hit with these constantly. Sometimes it felt like your screen was permanently bright white because you would get hit by one, then it would get refreshed by a new one right after that, and when you thought you were free, then it would repeat over and over again until somebody killed you. Special Grenade ×3 is one of those perks that I am so glad never came back after the first few CoD games. At number 17, Thermite in Modern Warfare 2019. Now, Thermites in CoD go back before they reached peak annoyance in Modern Warfare 2019, but the Thermites in this game, they could be launched. I mean, launched. They really had a straight trajectory, kind of like throwing a knife. Once they hit something, they blow up into this burst of flames. They deny the entire area. And if they directly hit somebody, then they would burn to death in a matter of seconds. Thermites were one of the best tools for area denial in the game. And since they could be thrown out of almost instantly, they were super popular. They were a good piece of panic equipment. That's what I call them. If you got into a sticky situation, you toss a thermite at your feet, chuck it at the problem, and you got a 50-50 chance of getting out of jail for free. At number 16, frag grenades in CoD 4. We know CoD 4 was an experimental game, so I kind of forgive Infinity Ward for making the frag grenade so insane, because in their defense, it's not like they had anything to compare it to or to work off of, but at the same time, they probably shouldn't have made these frag grenades miniature nukes in your hand, especially since there's so many ways to get them on the field in the game. Everybody spawned in with a frag in the game, plus you had the frag ×3 perk, plus there was the martyrdom perk, so there were frags everywhere in multiplayer, and they were insane. The blast radius was massive, and if you were caught in the explosion, there was probably, let me do my math, 75% chance you were just going to drop dead, even if you were at full health. So because of the power and the insane spam potential, here they are today. They were dumb. At number 15, back to Modern Warfare 2019, the proximity mine, better known in the community as the Bouncing Betty, right? The PM was this little disc that you toss onto the ground, and then once somebody got within a certain radius of it, it would pop up and explode, typically killing whoever set it off. The only way to avoid the Betty was to hit the deck before the explosion went off, but that was a lot easier said than done, especially in Modern Warfare where the Bettys often blended in with the environment. So by the time you actually saw it, you recognized it, it was too late. There was no way you were going to be able to react in time to save yourselves. Also, I swear the explosion of the Modern Warfare 2019 Bettys was bigger than usual because I remember seeing one Betty clear out entire rooms in this game. I mean, Infinity Ward did say they wanted the game to cater to campers, so I definitely wouldn't find it hard to believe that they intentionally made these so strong. Since we're talking about stupid things in Modern Warfare 2019, let's not stop, right, friends? At number 14, the Snapshot grenade in MW19, the tactical equipment that was one of the go-to things to have in your pocket for objective game modes, and there was even some guns that let you load it into the underbarrel launcher so you could blast it through windows. You could blast it across the map, get an early peek or look at where enemies were going and search and destroy. The Snapshot grenade would make a little humming noise, and then it would detonate. It exposed anybody within a certain radius and painted them bright orange on your screen for a few seconds so you could light them up through a wall or get the drop on them from around a corner. I mean, I guess you could say this was helpful for identifying campers, but it was also regularly used by campers to keep people from sneaking up on them, so it was a double-edged sword. And then they were particularly annoying during the era of the infamous infinite range AS Val, because people would literally just toss snapshot grenades across the map, light them up from a mile away, and then boom. Thankfully, the Val was patched, but the snapshot grenades, they remained as annoying as dumb as ever for the entirety of Modern Warfare 2019's life cycle. At number 13, the portable radar in Modern Warfare 3 2011. Very few things can beat a free UAV sweep, right? The portable radar in classic MW3 was basically a miniature UAV that you could toss out once per life and cover a pretty generous area with constant radar pings for you and your buddies. I remember seeing people coordinate their portable radars and cover half the map with them. They were literally getting free UAVs, and if you're trying to lock down a certain location, these things were a godsend. But then again, they were also annoying if you were on the receiving end of them or going up against a team of people who knew how to abuse and coordinate with them. More intel is always a good thing in Call of Duty, and the Modern Warfare 3 portable radar was literally just free intel whenever you threw it out. At number 12, the blast trap in Black Ops 6. Now, in a game as fast-paced and ridiculous as Black Ops 6, I really don't know why the blast trap was even there. Seems kind of counterproductive for a game like this. I really think it does. The blast trap, this weird-looking charge that you would toss out. It would sit wherever you put it until somebody ran by, patiently. And it would make this stupid beeping noise and it would explode. And in a game like BO6, where everyone was supposed to be running around and diving around corners like it was an action movie, I don't really know why Treyarch decided to include this pace killer. They did, though, because that's what it is. All it does is kill the pace of the game because you'll be running around and using the Omni movement like Treyarch told you to do, and then you'll hear that stupid beeping sound, and then boom, you're dead in a giant explosion because somebody threw down a blast trap 5 minutes ago and they forgot about it. I mean, if that's not dumb, we should stop the video. At number 11, the tactical insertion in multiple games. It still exists in the modern CoD era, but it's been changed to a field upgrade that has to charge up, which I think is a much more balanced system for it, because back in the CoD Golden Age, you could spawn in with attack insert every single time, put it on your class, and it led to some ridiculous clips. All you had to do was throw down your attack insert, and you would choose exactly where you spawn next, regardless of where all the enemies were. So not only could you get some really crazy kills by spawning in on unsuspecting enemies, you could also break the game literally by getting to an out-of-map spot, throwing down attack insert, and then you were literally impossible to take down. As much as I don't like field upgrades as a whole, I do think the attack insert is more balanced when you have to charge it up instead of getting a free one every time you spawn in. But, I mean, I want you guys to be honest with me here. How many times did you get an out-of-map spot, throw down attack insert for some easy kill streaks, circle of trust? At number 10, the S-mine in CoD World War II. Now, the S-mine in this game was the equivalent of the Bouncing Betty, but this one was more annoying and dumb. Instead of being a big frisbee disc, it was a tiny little soda can. You rarely saw it because of how well it blended in with the environment, and then when you got too close, it would pop up and explode. But it did it way faster than the classic Bouncing Betty did. It made it infinitely harder to avoid. Basically, the only way to avoid the S-mine in CoD World War II was if you were already prone for some reason, which, why were you? And then even then, the explosion would still hit you, so you could hit the deck and still die if someone already shot you before you set off the mine. That also made them extra stupid in hardcore modes because the decreased health meant even proning wasn't enough to get away. Pretty dumb. At number 9, the shock charge in Black Ops 2. I remember when we saw the shock charge for the very first time and it blew our minds. A throwing knife that explodes and electrifies your enemy, that is freaking awesome. And then the shock charge, it came and we used it. And if you were the one throwing it, it was awesome. If you were on the receiving end of it, yeah, it was one of the most annoying things in CoD history. You could attach it to any surface and then detonate it once somebody got too close. So freezing them in place for a few seconds, making them easy targets for your LSAT, your target finder, your mines, whatever. I mean, let's not to assume you're using an LSAT with target finders and a shock charge, but come on, a lot of you were. I mean, shock charge was a camper's best friend because one charge could completely lock down the entrance to a room you were sitting in and make you impossible to challenge. Again, it was cool if you were the one throwing them, but if you were on the receiving end, it was pretty dumb. At number 8, the shock charge in Black Ops 3. I'm not cheating, it's my video. Shock charges returned in Black Ops 3. They were arguably even dumber than they were before because now everyone had jetpacks and could run on walls, which meant the shock charge had a whole new way of annoying people. Campers would still sit with them, lock down a room, and they were camping. But on top of that, a shock charge could knock you off your wall run or totally throw off your thrust jump, which made them even more infuriating to get hit because they would totally kill your momentum and it almost always resulted in you dying. The shock charge may have been dumb in Black Ops 2. I would argue it hit a whole new level of dumbness once the advanced movement was added to the mix. At number 7, are we feeling dumb yet? C4 in Modern Warfare 3 2023. Now, history lesson. C4, I think it debuted in the original CoD 4, but it wasn't very good. It returned in Modern Warfare 2, and then Black Ops 1. But again, nothing special. But then it was reworked in classic Modern Warfare 3. I mean, it got nuts. The C4 charge could now be thrown much quicker and detonated much sooner, including in midair, which opened the door to a lot of cheesy new strategies. So if someone was taking cover behind some sandbags, toss a C4 over the top, light them up. If someone was sitting in the corner of a room, toss a C4 through the door and erase them from the map. It's returned, it's been around forever. It turned from a strategic placed explosive into a very, very aggressive tool, and people certainly use this one. It was a little hard to get the use of the trajectory of it, but it was dumb. At number 6, the stim shot and everything. I don't like the stim shot. I'm not going to lie. Ever since this thing has been introduced to CoD, it seems like the gameplay has gotten dumber because everyone has to everyone gets a get out of jail free card in their back pocket. So the stim shot gives you that instant jump to your health regeneration, which means it actually rewards you for making dumb pushes and taking dumb fights that you otherwise wouldn't have won. And you may say, but Jimmy, that's how the game is now. Adapt, get good. But that doesn't mean I have to like it. I don't. Plus, I think we can all agree the stim shot has pretty objectively made Call of Duty less strategic because you're no longer thinking about whether or not fights are good ideas, and you're no longer trying to be careful with your low health. Hit the stimmy, get all your health right back, continue playing stupidly. Is stupidly a word? I think so. Maybe I'm just an old head. I am an old head, I know that. But I really don't like what the stim shot has done to the Call of Duty gameplay loop. Nobody cares about smart positioning or smart engagements anymore. It's head down, run in, stim. Yeah. Now we arrive at the top 5. Claymores in Modern Warfare 2 2009. When people think of explosives in classic Modern Warfare 2, they think of grenade launchers, noob tubes, RPGs. But sometimes, Claymores need recognition. Claymores were a perk in CoD 4, but they were swapped over to the equipment category in Modern Warfare 2, and they were insane. Threw it down, waited for the click, and watched a miniature nuke go off, instantly killing anybody in front of it. I remember seeing people get creative with the placements here, sometimes getting 3 or 4 people in the process by sneaking up behind a group of enemies, slapping a claymore behind them, or carefully throwing one down on a domination flag and waiting for the results. But if you thought the classic Modern Warfare 2 Claymore was bad, at number 4, the Claymores in Modern Warfare 2019. Infinity Ward really wanted to cater to Timmy, which meant the Claymores were not only brought back in all their mini-nuke glory, they were also buffed like crazy. They were made smaller, they were made harder to see, they were harder to avoid, and now there were several ways to replenish them after you set one down. So not only would they lock down an entire section of the building you were camping in, but now you could just keep reloading them and throwing them down at every possible angle that somebody could charge you from. Good job, Infinity Ward. Yeah, you made a Claymore that was even more annoying than the classic Modern Warfare 2 version, which is saying something. That's an accomplishment, yet still wasn't the most annoying landmine in CoD history somehow. At number 3, trip mines in Black Ops 3. Treyarch said to themselves, hey selves, what if we made a bouncing Betty that could stick to any surface? And then they came up with the trip mine. That was it. It was an explosive you would set, it would sit there and wait for somebody to get close. Then it would spit out a charge and explode. Now, if the trip mine was on the ground, you could hit the deck and avoid it, like the classic Bouncing Betty. But the trip mine could be stuck to any surface at any angle at any time, meaning the explosive that it spit out could be coming at you from anywhere. If the trip mine was on the roof, it was unavoidable. If the trip mine was on the wall, it was unavoidable. And in a game as vertical and dynamic as Black Ops 3, that got really annoying really fast, especially when they were paired with a shock charge. At number 2, the IED from CoD Ghosts. You know what's worse than a C4 charge? A C4 charge that automatically blows up if someone gets too close. The IED absolutely plagued Ghosts for a long time. Had to be nerfed by Infinity War because there truly was no beating it. It was this little satchel charge. It was almost impossible to see with the muddy visuals and color palette of Ghost and the small size of it. And all you had to do was toss it out, put it somewhere you knew enemies were going to be, and then you just ran away. You waited for the explosion and you laughed. Before the IED was patched, it was nearly impossible to see, and the explosion was huge. It made it one of the cheapest and most infuriating, dumb pieces of equipment in CoD history. Thankfully, it was patched. Number 1, I don't think it was ever patched. At number 1 today, C4 in Black Ops 2. To me, I think this is the most absurd lethal equipment in CoD history because it literally was just the Modern Warfare 3 version, but buffed in every way for some reason. So, once again, satchel charge you could toss out, detonate on command, but the one-hit kill radius on the Black Ops 2 C4 was the biggest I've ever seen. You could clean up entire rooms of people with it. You could erase them. Plus, the maps in Black Ops 2 complemented the C4 charge a lot better than Modern Warfare 3 maps, which meant it was a much more valuable piece of equipment to take with you. The corridors were smaller, tighter, the windows were more contested. It made multi-kills even easier, especially since the explosions were even more lethal this time around. Treyarch really created a monster with this one. And if you ask me, I think this is the dumbest piece of equipment in CoD history. If you were around during the Black Ops 2 days, you know, if you were going up against somebody who knew the trajectory of a C4, it was game over. And there you have it, my friends. Those are some of the dumbest pieces. Not because they were terrible, most of them. It's because they were just so flat out good they were dumb. Let me know where you agree or disagree. I'll see you soon.